So I've been looking at putting some different cards into the Novena. So what I found is an IT251 card which I can use to replace the EDP PCB. So I've got that working. Well, I haven't got that working actually. It will work because you just plug it in and it will work. What I have got working is the HDMI adapter card with a different LCD screen, and I was running that trying to fiddle with the EEPROM settings, and I noticed that the main screen had come up. So this is the main built-in screen of the Novena, and it's running off my original EDP board. That's the one where I think the chip had blown up, although I'm beginning to wonder about that now. But I've replaced the IT251 on it, so that's a completely different chip. And I noticed that if I booted the Novena in recovery mode, then the built-in screen came up. So obviously that card is working. Now why it's not coming up in normal mode, I don't know. So it looks like there's nothing really wrong with that. Well, I can open stuff up here. There's nothing really wrong with the hardware on that EDP board. Maybe I did fix it, maybe the chip had blown up, but obviously I've managed to solder the thing back on again because that's working fine. So it looks like what I've got now, all the hardware is working, but it looks like I've got some sort of software problem, something in, well, I'm not sure where really. I need to have a look at the recovery mode and see what's different and see why it's coming up in that mode and not the normal mode. So I have to hold the user button down to get this to come up. I was trying to get a debug console because I'd turned the HDMI off, and I couldn't get a debug console up over any of the serial ports. So I tried recovery mode, and lo and behold, it's there. So I don't think I've changed anything, so I don't know why it's not just working. And I don't think there's a dodgy connection there either. I mean, if I wiggle it around and things, it still works. So what I might do is now plug in my other cards and see whether they work in recovery mode, and that'll give me an idea of which of the PCBs that I made are actually working. So I'll do that. So hopefully I can get this working, because it looks like the hardware is now fine. Does mean I've got, well, enough to make a complete monitor out of the TFT screen and the HDMI card, but that's that's another project for the future. So yeah, so it's sort of fixed, inverted commas. Right, so I've tested not only this board that I replaced the IC on, but these two here, and neither of the ones that I made work. So the only one that currently works is the one that I replaced the main chip on. So I don't know why that is. It could be something to do with the layer stack up and impedance matching, or it could be that a lot of the components that I bought didn't have the right footprint. But at the moment, not really too bothered about that, because this thing does boot in recovery mode and use the screen. So the message on the debug says that recovery mode detected, leaving everything enabled. So maybe there's something turning off the screen for some reason. I don't know what it is. But if I can leave that enabled, then it looks like the screen will work. So at the moment, that I don't think has got anything broken in terms of the screen anyway. Obviously the battery's not connected because I've put the pass-through board in there, but so in terms of hardware I think it's fixed. I just need some way of getting that screen to stay on when it does a normal boot. So that's looking good. So in a way it's fixed, I suppose. Okay, so this is now booted in normal mode, and the display's working. So I think the problem was that when I bought the new main board, which I think is in here, I just left the SD card in there that it came with. So I don't know if it's been set up for standalone mode or something, but I swapped the SD card over with the one that was in my original main board, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And lo and behold, it comes up and the display starts. So I think the EDP board was broken, and replacing the main chip seems to have fixed that, because it wasn't working before. and now that I've got the same SD card as my original configuration in the new main board, the fixed EDP board and the pass-through Sunoco PCB that I made, I think now it's working again, and it's working without batteries. So this is essentially just it's a laptop with a DUF battery, or a small portable desktop type machine. So I think that's it. I don't know exactly what the problem is with the code, but obviously I can look at that in the future. And I do now have my Novena back. So success, finally. I've also got quite a few spare parts. I've got a new mainboard, new screen, several HDMI cards, all sorts of stuff. What else did I buy? Yeah, I bought some FPC adapters, some other HDMI or EDP to LVDS adapter boards. None of it was hugely expensive, but I've sort of almost got enough to build another Novena. I just don't have a case. Actually, what else would I need? I'd need a working EDP board, wouldn't I? I've only got one of those. So I might have another look and see if I can work out what's wrong with the EDP boards. But I think for the time being I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to touch it. It's working.